that doesn't mean, some people have trouble with the word passion. That doesn't mean that you suddenly start bouncing off the walls or getting all excited and ramped up. But for example, infuse your voice with the unmistakable sound of someone who gives a damn about their message. I care about what I'm talking about. I don't have this memorized monotone voice. No one wants to hear that. It's not impressive. It's not going to impact people. If you want to impact people, show them your passion, that I care. I care about what I'm talking about, and I want you guys to care too. And even in the most potentially boring, dry, financial presentation, you can do that. I've heard students say, yeah, but Krajicek, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not that enthusiastic about my material today. So what do? I tell them, well then, get enthusiastic about your audience receiving the message. You can be enthusiastic about something. And obviously there's levels of enthusiasm. You do have to retain a professionalism here. I'm not suggesting that all of a sudden you just get all crazy and ramped up. You've got to retain a little bit of professionalism, or people you won't be credible. But please don't make the mistake of not showing enthusiasm and passion for your message. Even the most potentially dry and boring messages, if your audience knows, wow, this guy really cares about what he's talking about, they're much more apt to open up their ears and listen to you. Okay. Now, can this go wrong? Can this go too far? Yes, it can. And I want to give you an example. Some of you may have seen this one. You know who Steve Ballmer is?
Yep.
Who is he?
CEO of Microsoft.
CEO of Microsoft. Check this out. I should have tested this beforehand to see if we have volume. And we don't.
It's crazy.
Let's see. Can I get some help up here to get that? There it is, right there. Thank you. CEO of Microsoft. Still not getting it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Ballmer!
Isn't this awesome?
I have 4 words for you. I love this company. Yes!
Awesome, huh? I mean, it's incredibly bad, isn't it? So that's not what I'm talking about when I'm saying have some enthusiasm, right? Obviously. Okay, how about anxiety? Have any of you ever experienced a little nervousness, a little anxiousness before you stand up in front of people? If everyone's not raising their hands, you're only fooling yourself. We all have. And that varies from, just feel a few butterflies in your stomach. Like, wow, my hand's shaking a little bit, to I'm falling to pieces. I'm having an out-of-the-body experience. My brain is shut down. I'm sweating profusely. My palms are all sweaty. My legs twitching, and I just can't. Okay, so it runs the gamut. How do you deal with that? It's important, obviously, that we deal with this. How do you overcome that? What are some of the techniques you've used, or that you can imagine we might use?
Like breathe. Like
Breathing is very important. Yeah, that's interesting. That's the first thing we thought of and mentioned, because that's something people don't think of a lot. Most people have little shallow breaths. Most of us don't breathe deeply as we should, and it's probably a sign of the stress that we live under most of the time. Because if you think about what that shallow breathing is, it's a constricted thing. The more deeply you breathe, the more you have to open up and relax. And so we're not in yoga class here, but it's true. It's just true that deep breathing does relax you. In fact, if I said I have a product that will both give you energy and relax you at the same time, you would say, where do I buy this product? Well, we all have it. It's deep breathing. And so it really does work. When you're anxious, about ready to get up and give a presentation, give yourself a couple of deep belly breaths. I mean, feel that belly opening up. Even breathe into your lower back where you feel those lungs really expanding. It's excellent. What else? How else can you deal with it?
Practice a lot.
Practice a lot. I think that's absolutely important. And why does that make you less nervous?
Because you know what you're going to say and what order you're going to say.
Yeah. You feel like, okay, I may not be brilliant, but I'm probably the smartest person in the room about this because I've really done my homework. And obviously that depends on the context. But the more we know our material, the more we're relaxed. That's true. Because sometimes your brain does sort of kind of downshift and you don't think quite as clearly as you would under a non-stressful situation. So if you're not sure of your message, if you're not well rehearsed, if you're not sure what you're going to say, you tend to really sometimes unravel at that moment. So it does a lot of good to really know your message. How else can you deal with anxiety? One of my students once said, I always drink a couple beers before a presentation. I cannot advise that one. Probably not a good idea. But come on, there's got to be other things. What do you do?
And mentally prepare,
Okay.
in the sense that you like have it mentally an idea of where you want the presentation to go, so that you're not like shocked or something.
Yeah, sort of mentally picture the whole thing ahead of time and really prepare yourself, kind of visualize it. Yeah, I think that's probably pretty good. Anything else? Well, I'll give you one more that I think is extremely important, and please don't dismiss this as being too simple, because it is simple, but it's profound in its simplicity, and it works. And here's the advice. Give yourself a break. Allow yourself to be nervous. Don't beat yourself up so much about it. That's, I think, often what happens. People freak out over the fact that they're nervous. And that just makes them more nervous. I've seen plenty of presentations where everyone in the audience knew that this person was a little nervous. You can see their hands shaking. You know, they're doing the pointer and this thing's going like this. Have you ever had that one? Or you know, they feel their palms sweaty, or their voice is even quivering a little bit. But you push through. Your audience generally wants you to do well. They support you for the most part. And it's not that big of a deal to them usually. We just create the story in our heads, oh my God, my voice is quivering. So, give yourself a break. Allow yourself the luxury of being a little nervous. And don't deny it. I think that's a huge mistake. Don't say to yourself, I'm not nervous, I am not nervous, I am not nervous, I'm not nervous. And you're standing waiting your turn, right? And you're standing over there just going, I am not nervous, I'm not nervous. And it's your turn and you step up and your brain goes, oh yes you are. It doesn't do any good to deny it. I'm not suggesting that you dwell on it too much. What I'm saying is acknowledge it and move on. Say, yeah, I'm a little nervous. And it's okay. That's cool. I'll be all right. What's the worst that's going to happen? You know? So I do think there's real wisdom in this. It's profoundly simple. Just allow yourself the luxury. Don't beat yourself up about it. Give yourself a break. For one thing, or for another thing, usually it's so much worse in your own head than it is to other people. I've had students say to me, oh my God, I was so nervous. We watch the video, and they say, wow, I haven't seen that nervous. I mean, in my head, I was completely unraveling. So you've got to remember that as well. Give yourself a break. What happens, by the way, when you give yourself a break, ironically, is you become less nervous. Because I think what happens is we get nervous, and then we get nervous about the fact that we're nervous, and then we get nervous about that, and all of a sudden you're in this nervous hall of mirrors. You just cut that process off and say, yeah, I'm a little nervous, and it's okay. You'll be much better off. Keep body language in mind, obviously, and the only way you can really do that is to watch yourself on video. Because people tend to have habits sometimes that are annoying, and you have no idea, or distracting. You have no idea you're doing it. Shuffling papers. I had students tell me one time that I jangle my keys in my pocket and it's distracting, so I take the keys out of my pocket now, because that's apparently a little nervous twitch I have. Ladies tend to do the leg cross. I don't know why guys, it's not something guys do, but have you seen, does this make sense to you?
Yeah, I don't ever do that, but yeah, I know you do that.
It's a nervous thing a lot of times, I think, and,
Yeah.
and it doesn't look very professional. It's sort of a nervous twitch. I've told people it's a good idea to move a little bit and not stand real stiff, and so I've had people do this the whole time. You know, they had no idea. We watched it on video, and they're like, "Oh my God!" So I tell people you should use your stage, so to speak, if you can move gracefully.
I always sway side to side, and that's never good.
Side to side.
Yeah.
Well, awareness is the first step. You know, watch yourself on video. And the fact that you know that's going to help. You know, and find another pattern, so to speak. But again, what you're really looking for is something natural. I personally like Steve Jobs' presentation style. I don't know if you guys like that, but excuse me, he whirs side to side, but it's real natural. You know, he walks over to this side and he'll stop and talk for a while and then walk over to this side. It just seems very natural. And I do think that's what you should strive for. And practice in front of the mirror. As goofy as that might feel to you, I think it's a good idea. You've got to find your body language that works. How do you use your hands? Do you talk like this? What do you think? Bad idea. Why?
Makes you seem, it's like you're rejecting the person.
Yeah.
I'm defiant, I'm closed.
Judgy, which is
Yeah.
like the authoritative.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I don't care. Yeah, too relaxed. Now, how about parade rest? Some speaking coaches will tell you that it's not great because it somehow sends the psychological signals that I'm withholding something, I'm sort of hiding something from you. I personally disagree with that. I think it depends. It always depends. Part of it may be that we're here at a school with a strong military tradition and this is parade rest and it feels kind of natural. But I think if you're actually out presenting and you keep your arms behind you the whole time, okay, that's just weird, right? But if you're standing kind of waiting in the wings to speak, you're up on stage, but you're not talking, your team presentation, I think this is perfectly natural. And occasionally while you're talking, I think maybe if someone's asking a question or something, to stop and do this, I think that's okay. Now, how about this one? This has been called the fig leaf. Got to be careful with that one. That can be a little bit weird. But I mean, ideally, you want to use your hands, I think. It helps me to have something in one of my hands, you know, a rolled up piece of paper or clicker or something. For some reason, if I don't have anything in either hand, I start getting self-conscious about what my hands are doing and I don't quite know what to do with them after a while. And I've seen some advice that you should just have them at your sides like this, but does this look natural to you? It feels really awkward, and after a while your hands both start feeling like they weigh about 20 pounds each, and you just kind of... So I think that you've got to find your way, but you're searching for a relaxed, natural, expressive body language, and obviously you eliminate the annoying things. Team presentation issues we've talked about a little bit. Let me just kind of wrap that up by saying, don't forget in a team presentation that it's a team. And you want to do everything you can to send the signal to your audience that this is a team. We're a well-oiled machine. And literally think about it like stage directions. If I'm speaking, and let's see, was it David? Yes. And David's next, and David's standing over here, and he's waiting, and I get done. Okay, where are David and I going to pass off the clicker? Is he going to walk all the way up here, or am I going to finish and turn and walk to him? That might sound ludicrous to you. That's just a minor detail. But the problem is, if you haven't talked about those issues, I might turn around and then run smack into David who's walking up here. I see that. And it's not a huge deal, but it's sort of a little chink in the armor, sort of like they're not quite together. So in a team presentation, talk about where do I need to be standing, how do we transition from speaker to speaker, and these kind of things. Also, I encourage you to think of it not as this is my part of this presentation. These 4 slides are my slides and those are yours. Own the whole thing. In a sense, the whole slide deck is your team's, and her presentation is mine, in the sense that we're a team. So I think that would be helpful if you think of it that way. And then practice, 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 and now you can over-practice, certainly. You can over rehearse a presentation to where it starts, it's hard to give it life.